We got some goop lined up for you today. Most terrifying prehistoric animals by Americano. Right, the Lost Media. The Lost Media Sludge, yes. So, background. The guy that made this video, Americano, we watched him before, he deleted all of his fucking, like, top 20 extinct animals lists, right? They're all gone. All of his top 10s and top 15s and top 20, they're all gone. He deleted all of them because I'm pretty sure he's like one of those fucking, I want to say he is one of those, like, police body cam slop channels now. So, Rosie was thankfully able to archive this, meaning we are looking at Lost Media Sludge. The Lost Sludge. It's the lost episode of SpongeBob. And then we're just over here like, that's it? That's the last episode? That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles! So who knows what Americano tried to bury, but we're about to find out.
When we think of prehistoric times, we think of the dinosaurs. But there was a whole world of creatures exploring the planet.
Okay, right, I need to get Bingo up. Pardon me for one moment. So, hold on, I have to, like, double check this.
But there was a whole world of creatures exploring the planet before them.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's one of the weirdest editing choices I've ever seen in a Sludge video. Like, that was mid-sentence. We're doing the mid-sentence, no commentary, only sound effects thing. Anyway, let's continue.
And honestly, to say some of them were freaky feels like a real understatement. From a scientifically described Gorgon face to the oldest animal ever discovered on Earth.
Oh my god. We're gonna do some other, like, Precambrian Glupshido, like one of the other ones we did. Oh my god. Like, he's gonna overhype it as being this, like, deadly predator or whatever shit. We're gonna do that again. It's gonna happen again.
Here are the 15 most terrifying creatures that lived before dinosaurs.
Is that Succubombaspis? Is that Succubombaspis? Our boy? One of our many, many boys? We're gonna miss you, little alien man.
Number 15, Gorgonopsia.
Okay, that's an entire clade as one entry, because the Gorgonopsids were, like, they were a group of animals. They weren't just one animal. The largest of which was, like, Anostrancevia. That is, like, the one from Siberia.
If any of you out there are looking for a new and creative insult for others, then you're in luck. The Gorgonopsia, or Gorgon face.
Jesus Christ, he's doing it mid-sentence so many times. Like, why? What do you gain out of this? Gorgonops itself was actually relatively small. It was like, I don't know, medium dog size. This looks like about the same size as my fucking mother's dog. The Inostrancevia here was a bit bigger. Yeah. That's more like, I want to say bear-ish sized. So, pretty big animal. Pretty fucked up looking. Yeah, it does kind of look like a mole rat, doesn't it? Pretty spooky ooky.
You're welcome, was a kind of animal that, at one time, was referred to as a mammal-like reptile.
That is true. The terminology mammal-like reptile has kind of fallen out of favor in recent years. It's better to just refer to these things as, I want to say it's synapsids, but then that gets into the whole shit with, like, synapsids and diapsids and anapsids, something like that. Like, I don't know enough about that. I'm pretty sure it's a synapsid. It's either therapsid or synapsid. I'm not a scientist. I know I don't pretend to be. I just know more than AI goop monsters.
Definitely not a pleasant-looking thing. Oh, heads up, if I pronounce any of the names of these creatures wrong,
We'll mark it off the bingo boards.
Apologize. What made the Gorgonopsia so frightening to look at was everything, really. But mostly, it came down to the creature's unusual bone structure, with a differentiated
I think it's mostly the giant fucked up teeth.
Tooth shape, pillar-like legs, and ear bones. This was about as close.
Okay, listen. Listen, I've never looked at like a scary ass animal and just been like, oh my god, the ear bones on that thing. Ew. Like, hey, there's been gross ass ears that I've looked at. Like, have you ever seen an owl's ear hole before? That shit's nasty looking. Like, I don't care much for that, but like, I'm not more scared of owls because of like their grody looking ears. I'm scared of owls because they have like really strong grips and sharp talons and they don't like you. Owls do not like you.
Close to a mammal as a reptile likely could ever get.
I mean, okay. Close to a mammal as a reptile likely could ever get. I mean, if you want to be a pedant, then a mammal is as close to a mammal as a reptile can get, because mammals are nothing more than extremely derived reptiles. If you want to say, like, while still being a reptile, then I would still say, like, the cynodonts or something like that. That's what I would say, because they're exhibiting much more mammal-like traits. It's kind of one of those meaningless statements. I mean, it means something. Like, I understand what he's saying, but, like, he's not saying it to mean anything. It's just like, yeah, these are the mammals that were, or these are the reptiles, rather, that were, like, part of the lineage that would eventually lead to the rise of mammals. Those being the synapses, as mentioned earlier.
And yet, this is most definitely still a reptile. Or, so we assume.
See, again, he's not actually saying anything.
Nobody really knows whether this thing had fur, scales, or just pure naked skin. So calling
naked.
it a reptile at all feels like a real stretch.
Okay, you're at that point you're getting into cladistics, like what is and isn't a reptile. Listen, I'm not educated enough to know about that. You're not either. Yeah, it's just... Maybe it's a reptile, maybe it's not, I don't really know. At the end of the day, it's all just bones in the ground.
Largest known species of Gorgonopsia was around the size of a large bear, with 12-centimeter long teeth that were clearly part of the animal's evolution into being a carnivore.
Meaningless statement. Yeah, like, I'm just gonna say meaningless. Yes, this thing had sharp teeth. That meant it was a carnivore. Good fucking job. An extremely mammalian fish. Well, if you want an extremely mammalian amphibian, look no further than Caecilians, because, like, they're about as mammally as you can get just based on the name Mammalia, because, like, they do feed their young with something that's kind of like milk. It's weird. They just sort of, like, gloop out this very nutrient-rich white substance, and it's like... And, like, the babies will feed on that. They also eat the mother's skin, which is horrifying. But yeah, like, when you look at Caecilians and how they feed their young with the milk goop, then it's kind of, like, almost easy to understand how that could develop in something like a reptile, and then eventually evolve into what we as mammals have, which are the boobies. The boobies for which we are named after. Our entire clade, Mammalia. After the mammaries, honk honk. The most basal of mammals that exist today, the monotremes, they don't have nipples. They just kind of like sweat out their milk, right? When they're feeding it to their babies. It's really grody, but that's just what you do when you don't have nipples, but you still need to, like, feed your young with your own fluids. It's gross, but you wouldn't be here today if it weren't for weird monotremes and primitive mammals doing the same thing. Anyway, that's enough about lactation. Let's continue.
Surprisingly, the Gorgonopsia is one of the least famous prehistoric creatures.
No, it's not, by the way. You're showing it appearing in Primeval. It appeared in Walking with Monsters. Gorgonopsids are relatively well known as far as the Paleozoic is concerned. Not as well known as like Dimetrodon and stuff like that, but, like, well known enough. Calling this one of the least known prehistoric creatures is just wrong.
With only dedicated experts and enthusiasts even having heard of the thing.
That's just wrong.
But what we do know is this: the Gorgonopsia is not an animal that you would have wanted to cross paths with.
Sure.
And not just because of the, Gorgon face. Before we go on...
He's gonna say, like, hey, like this video or else the centipede will crawl on you in your sleep. That segment was just God. It was very rambly and repetitious. I didn't care for it at all. And again, like he's just always referring to it as Gorgonopsia, not even Gorgonops, not Anostrancevia. Hell, even Walking with Monsters referred to it as a Gorgonopsid, which is like non-specific but accurate.
Like this video, smash the subscribe button, and
Or
click the
else.
notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
Called it. Called it. Centipede. Easy.
Number 14, Dickinsonia.
I told you, fucking Precambrian Glupshido. Precambrian Glupshido. It is.
We hate to say it, but this is about to become a life-changing moment for you. Things will never go back to normal after you see what we're about to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, meet
Get to it.
Dickinsonia,
Get on with it.
the animal kingdom's oldest and possibly strangest known member. Over 600 million.
This is. Hold on. We have to go. Dangerous creatures, harmless. Misleading. Video title. Easy peasy. Because this is not a terrifying creature. It lived before the dinosaurs, sure, but it's not terrifying, right? And it's fucking harmless. It's just like. I'm not even sure what Dickinsonia is exactly. I'm going to assume it's something kind of like a sea cucumber or something like that. At least as far as its ecology goes. We don't know either. Okay, so even scientists don't know. Well, they're bilateral, so it is something. But one of those things that it is not is scary.
Years ago, the Dickinsonia was quietly developing far beneath the ocean surface. With no notable predators, the Dickinsonia was able to evolve without the need for protective skin or even skeletons, leaving
Or even skeletons? This is Precambrian, yes? Yes, this is Precambrian. Skeletons of any kind hadn't evolved until, I want to say, the Cambrian explosion, with the existence of the first chordates, which would be like, tiny fish about that big, like haiku ichthyes, and their relatives. So I'm not entirely surprised at all that it doesn't have a skeleton. It's kind of like a limpet. I bet it's like a limpet. Is that what you are? Maybe.
them with an unusual, oval-like ribbed, squishy body that looks nothing like any other animal alive today.
Maybe it kind of looks like a limpet.
This animal is one of the earliest
I think that's a trilobite. That counts. Unrelated animals used to be real. That's a fossil of a trilobite. That's not Dickinsonia.
complex life forms ever to exist on our planet, and it survived almost entirely on the microbes that covered the sea floor. I think I speak
microbes.
for everyone when I say I think I would have mistaken this creature for a sponge. Given that humans famously evolved from fish, it's not outside the realm of possibility that the Dickinsonia was one of the many biological steps that led to the eventual creation of our own species.
That's possible. Because where fish are most likely thought to have evolved from are these little kinds of, they're kind of sponge-like-ish. They're called tunicates, right? Here, let's look it up. Yeah, they're called tunicates or sea squirts, or basically the larval stage of the tunicate is actually mobile, and they have a very simple backbone. And so basically the thought process is that like a larval stage of a sea squirt may have just like become paedomorphic, which is to say like it keeps its larval stage throughout its entire life. You can see the same thing today in things like axolotls or blind cave salamanders or olms or shit like that. This still happens today. So, like, it is very possible that the larval stage of sea squirts just ended up becoming the first fish, which would eventually end up becoming the first amphibians and reptiles and mammals, and then us. So, if Dickinsonia was one of the first stages into evolving into things like sea squirts, then it is possible that it may have evolved into tunicates and then may have evolved into, by extension, us. If we can't say anything about Dickinsonia definitively, then we don't know that, and it's baseless speculation.
It feels almost terrifying to imagine that this thing may be one of our earliest ancestors. But, well, say hello to Grandpappy Dickinsonia, kids. Number 13, Haicoethus.
Okay, so that is definitely a butcher pronunciation. Haiku-ichthyes. Like, this is a fucking... We're basically going up the evolutionary chain here. This is the fish that I was mentioning earlier. This is about the size of your pinky fingernail. This is not a terrifying creature that lived before the dinosaurs. Really, you wasted all your time talking about, like, oh, hey, say hello to Grandpappy Dickinsonia, when you should have been saying, say hello to Grandpappy Haiku-ichthyes, or Haicoethus, rather, as you're gonna say.
If the unpronounceable name makes it too hard to
Haiku-ichthyes, not that hard. It's like, it's basically the word haiku, as in, like, you know, the poem Japan, and then ichthyes, as in, like, the basic fucking prefix for fish that is used all across science. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an ichthyologist. Whoa! Slow it down for the rest of us, Poindexter.
comprehend, just think of this as a fish with a backbone. While the Cambrian
As a fish with a... Oh, this is so exhausting. So, all fish have backbones. It came with being a fish. You categorically need to have a backbone in order to be a fish. Now, what that backbone is made of, that can vary, right? Because obviously, like, us extremely devolved fish, we have backbones that are made out of, like, you know, skeleton. While sharks are a completely different clade of fish. They have their backbones made out of cartilage. But it's still a backbone. They still have a spinal cord. Yeah, think of Homo sapiens as a human with a spine. Stupid ass.
period is probably best known for the sudden influx of unusual, non-vertebrate creatures. This creature was one of the first
That's
to
that's Cephalaspis.
reverse that trend. The Haicoethus is one of a handful of fish considered to be almost vertebrates. Creatures
Okay, almost vertebrates is sort of correct. You would be, you'd be more accurate in saying that it's, like, almost a fish in that case. Because, like, it's in that sort of weird spot where it's like, we're not entirely sure if this really counts as a full-on chordate yet. But maybe it is. It's sort of in, like, that Archaeopteryx state where it's like, is this totally a bird yet? Is this, like, still mostly a dinosaur? I mean, obviously birds are dinosaurs, but has it made that full-on transition to bird yet? We're not entirely sure. It's sort of the missing link there between, like, things like tunicates and things like just regular ass fish.
that did not have a full backbone, but the faint outline of one. Along with the Pikaia and the Mylocungmingia, there's a lot of debate over whether or not this animal is considered to be a prehistoric fish. But we are just going to go ahead
You keep calling it a fish, regardless.
and say that it is. After all,
They must adapt or die.
We're gonna call it a fish because, after all, they must adapt or die. Now, what Kenneth was saying there is completely irrelevant to your own personal opinions on cladistics. Why did you say that? Why did you have Kenneth say that for you? What are you doing here?
we don't have time for scientists to go through the whole experiment. We have
Whole experiment? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Can you get back on track, please? We're like 2 entries into this. 3 entries, I guess. We're 3 entries into this. I would really like you to get back on track. What experiment are you talking about? You could do research on them. Research on the fossils that we have. I don't think that really counts as an experiment based on what I know about the scientific method. What the fuck are you talking about? This is nonsense goop that is pouring into my ears right now.
videos to produce. Despite the Haicoethus existing some 525 million years
Christ.
ago, its existence wasn't even known until 1999. Hence the
Motherfucker. Okay, first of all, again, this thing is the size of, like, a fingernail. I don't think it's all that surprising that it wasn't discovered until like the more modern day in terms of paleontology, right? And I always find it so fucking weird when it's just like, oh man, this thing existed so long ago, but it took us this long to find it. Yeah, that's what it means when you're buried in rocks in the ground. Like, what? You think we should have known about it the entire time that we were like cavemen or whatever? Fucking Grug is just there like, you know? His mind is just blown because he's just like, Grug think this Haiku Ichthyes. Haiku Ichthyes, early ancestor to modern fish. Yeah, how come the dinosaurs didn't find out about Haiku Ichthyes?
The ongoing debate about what exactly it is. There just isn't enough detail for it to be considered part of either group. The
You've basically already said this.
Haiku is one of the more unique fish-like creatures that existed before the dinosaurs.
Meaningless.
A fascinating, flat-shaped being that even now is incredibly confusing to people whose whole business is old animals. Number 12.
He has so little to say about these things. Is that Succubambaspis? Is that?
Astraspis.
Nah, it's a close relative, though. Christ. He has so little to say about these, but he just keeps going on and on and on about it. Like, I want to say I know that one of the last videos we did, it was like 30 extinct creatures in like 15 minutes worth of video. And it's just like, oh, he's only gonna have like 30 seconds per creature. But now he's got like at least over a minute for each creature. But he's just like, he runs out of shit to talk about so quickly and just ends up repeating himself. And once again,
Evolution is truly a friend to the...
we just have another thing that's not even remotely terrifying. It's just like, this is the fish equivalent of like a handheld vacuum cleaner. Like, I'm pretty sure, it's just this. No jaw. It just swims around and does this. That's it. That's the fish. Pardon me for not thinking this is a terrifying animal that existed before the dinosaurs.
Those that are forced to endure the suffering of bullying. Take,
What?
for instance, the
Hold on, what the fuck did you just call me?
old animals. Number 12. Astraspis. Evolution is truly a friend to those that are forced to endure the suffering of bullying. Take, for instance, the Astraspis, which
What?
evolved from a helpless target into a much stronger and more resilient creature.
Okay, so he's saying that this thing evolved directly into Dunkleosteus. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, listen, I don't know enough about, like, placoderm evolution in order to say that definitively. But I know for a fact that you don't. Yeah, Astraspis, as Rosie is saying, wasn't even a placoderm. So, like, I'm guessing this had evolved after placoderms had already... Oh, Astraspis. Late Ordovician. Okay, so I think that's still... That might have been before placoderms. Again, like, you're going so far back, it's like the Dickinsonia thing. Like, you're pretty much definitively saying, oh, yeah, you know, this thing that evolved before, you know, the definitive thing that absolutely evolved into Dunkleosteus even showed up. You're saying that this absolutely must have evolved into Dunkleosteus. This and our boy Succubambaspis. Where's the meme? Where's the meme one? Aw. It doesn't show the little meme model. Big sad. I hope Succubambaspis is also on this list.
Although, it took a few thousand years. So
A
that...
few thousand? This thing is from the Ordovician, and Dunkleosteus was in the Devonian. That's more than a few thousand years. That is several million years. In the Ordovician, the Earth still had rings, and the air wasn't breathable. This thing didn't even have a jaw. And they're saying, like, oh, it took a few thousand years to evolve the jaw. That was kind of important for fish. A few thousand years, though.
That's probably not all that comforting. The Astraspis was a unique creature in its time, and not only because it looks like...
It really wasn't a unique creature. There were other things like it, like Succubambaspis, who is very famous because he's a big internet meme.
Seymour II from Little Shop of Horrors. That one's for all those...
Hold the fuck up.
Not only because it looks like Seymour II from Little Shop of Horrors.
You dumb motherfucker! Its name is Audrey 2, not Seymour 2. You didn't even get that right. You fucked up your pop culture reference. The plant's name is Audrey 2. Oh my fucking god. I want to feed you to a plant. I can't believe you fucked up that badly. Like, listen. Listen. You don't know enough about, like, semi-obscure Ordovician jawless fish. What the fuck ever, right? If you're gonna make a pop culture reference, the least you could do is watch the fucking movie first. Come on, man.
That one's for all those niche musical fans among us.
Niche! Niche! You're not even a fan! You didn't even see it!
In its day, the Astraspis survived mostly from the nutrients and algae.
Once again, we're cutting ourselves off mid-sentence here.
That were littered amongst the sea floor, which made it, like all non-carnivores, a promising prey.
Made it like all non-carnivores a promising prey. First of all, that sentence is grammatically heinous. Second of all, not all things that aren't carnivores are promising prey. Third of all, I wouldn't even definitively say that this thing wasn't a carnivore because this is the Ordovician. There's not even that much plant material to eat. Like, it could be a scavenger or as a tridivore or something, but that still means it would be like eating meat and shit. Like, fuck me, dude. This is embarrassing.
It's probably accurate to estimate that the Astraspis was eaten by just about every predator alive during the Devonian period.
It's Ordovician! This is from the Ordovician! But you know what's happening? You know what's happening? He's implying that it evolves into Dunkleosteus so much that he's gotten them mixed up. Who could have foreseen that? Like, the AI always fucking does this whenever it goes off on some weird tangent about some other creature. We saw this, like, super early on with the one video that was talking about, like, Ostroraptor, but all it ended up doing was talk about Velociraptor because of preconceived notion about portrayal of raptors in media thanks to Jurassic Park's Velociraptors. Like, fuck, dude, it does this so fucking often.
Eventually, the creature had been preyed on so often that it evolved to develop a new, tougher head and body armor that would protect it against cunning predators like sharks.
Once again, lives in the Ordovician. Sharks hadn't evolved yet. Second of all, it had been preyed on so much that it just, like, evolved an armored head. Something tells me that, like, I mean, like, I have to blame this on the AI, right? But enough people believe shit like this that I really have to believe that the American school system is doing such a poor job at teaching how evolution actually works and functions. Because it's not just like, oh no, I'm getting eaten too much. I guess I'll have to, like, you know, put some more points into my defense stat. That's not how it fucking works. It is random mutations. It is random mutations when individuals are born. And so sometimes those mutations are beneficial. Sometimes they are detrimental. That happens over the course of thousands and then millions of years. And eventually these genes get passed on into the next generation. And all those guys are basically the same. And then so on and so on and so on. And they evolve new traits because the beneficial ones help them. Think about this in the context of humans, right? Back in the oldie days, like in the Jesus Christ days, people were a lot shorter on average. But you know what chicks love? Chicks love tall dudes. And that means that, like, they're gonna select a bunch of tall dudes over the course of, you know, thousands of years now. And on average, we've gotten a lot taller over the years. Hasn't helped me any, but, you know, humans on average, it's definitely helped. That's just like one example that we can, like, directly, definitively point to. You are probably as tall as you are now because your great-great-grandmammy liked them tall.
Unfortunately, this new armor also made the 25 centimeter long Astraspis gain significant weight, up to a ton.
Fat. Up to a ton? Again, he's getting it mixed up with Dunkleosteus. Because, let me tell you, this thing was not... Okay, hold on, that's a wild size overestimate. This thing was not a ton. You're saying that this thing is like 8 inches long, and you're saying it's a ton? How dense is this thing? Is this a fish made out of fucking tungsten? Is this fish a black hole? What are you, Astraspis? Maybe the thing is terrifying. The densest creature that ever fucking lived, besides the AI YouTuber.
which didn't really help protect it against predators.
Being as dense as a neutron star, I think helped it against predators.
The Astraspis is one of evolution's miracle stories, a prey creature that was effectively transformed into something stronger. It also looks weird, so there's that. Number 11.
Again, he just repeats himself over and over again, like, yep, this thing sure did evolve into Dunkleosteus.
Pneumodesmus pneumani.
Okay, I've never heard of this before. Is this just like a regular-ass millipede?
For those of you that think we just invent names for animals, do you really think we would have thought up something as wild as the Pneumodesmus pneumani?
Yeah? That doesn't seem like all that complex of a name. Like, pneumo, I'm assuming that means like pneumatic, right? Like sort of same process. Desmus, I've definitely heard that as like a suffix before. And then Pneumani, or I assume Newmani, I assume it's named after a guy named Newman. Yeah, I'm not entirely surprised that this is a name that exists. There are way weirder ones that are way more difficult to pronounce.
Most of us can't even pronounce it. Not even those of us who are paid to. To our modern eyes,
Jesus Christ.
this is an ancient millipede, but it actually has a much bigger historical significance than that. Hence, the ridiculous name. The Pneumodesmus pneumani is, at present, the oldest known creature to ever have lived on land.
I figured that's where we were going with this. Because, like, we've completely lost the plot at this point that, like, oh, this is terrifying creatures that lived before dinosaurs or whatever bullshit. We've completely lost the plot. We lost the plot after literally the first fucking entry. So it's just like prehistoric animals before the dinosaurs from like the Paleozoic era that had some kind of evolutionary significance. Which like isn't a bad thing for a list, I suppose. But like you have the name is terrifying creatures. This is basically just a millipede. You know what I mean?
As well as the very first myriapod. Those are tiny creatures.
Myriapod. Also, you're blurring out the logo here. Like, why? I mean, I know why. Because, like... No, you know, fuck, I don't know why. I don't know why. Because, like, why not give people credit? You know what I mean? Yeah, but, like, the credit is down here. So now I'm just double confused. Why blur the logo if you credit them here anyway? That's just so fucking confusing.
With lots of legs. The creature was discovered in 2000.
Also, creatures with lots of legs. That could apply to so many fucking things. That could apply to isopods. That could apply to velvet worms if you really want to stretch the definition of what a leg is. Like, come on, man. You could be more specific than that. Or at the very least, just say like, oh yeah, they're millipedes and centipedes and stuff like that. You don't have to go into like the full cladistics or whatever, but just say like, oh yeah, it's millipedes and centipedes. Those guys.
2004, thanks to fossils located in Scotland. But its actual age is pretty hazy. While we know that it lived some 428 million years ago, studies have suggested that it actually lived much earlier, existing sometime in the early Devonian period. So, we may never know for sure. And, for those of us that aren't huge fans of millipedes or centipedes or pretty much any small creature with more than 4 legs, this is a pretty horrifying thing to look at.
It's just a regular millipede.
The Pneumodesmus pneumani predates the centipede by around 10 million years and predates land vertebrates by 50 million years, making this one old, multi-legged little sucker. Number 10, Nothosaurus.
Okay, at least this is a predator and not basically just a really old, regular-ass millipede. I know that there's people who are scared of bugs and shit. I really can't understand being scared of millipedes at all. Like, at all. Like, they cannot hurt you. Also, yeah, this is, not before the dinosaurs. I mean, I think there were species of Nothosaurus that lived before the dinosaurs. I think they were kind of like all throughout the Triassic, if I'm not mistaken. There's like, I want to say 12 fucking species of Nothosaurus or something. At the very least, the title is definitively wrong now because Nothosaurus was indeed contemporary with dinosaurs.
It's common knowledge that reptiles like crocodiles and alligators are some of the last living descendants of dinosaurs on the Earth. But this
No. Crocodiles and alligators are the closest living relatives to dinosaurs. Because, you know, dinosaurs are still living today. They're just birds. But way, way back in prehistoric times, there were the basal archosaurs, and they split off into the dinosaurs, who would eventually become the birds, and they split off into crocodilians, or rather crocodilomorphs, who would eventually split off into a whole bunch of different shit. Like, they became the pseudosuchians and metriorhynchids and shit like that, and also our modern-day crocodilians. Crocodilians are not descendants of dinosaurs, they're just, like, a different branch on the same evolutionary tree. Oh, yeah, also pterosaurs, I forgot about that. So it's dinosaurs, which would become birds, pterosaurs, and then crocodilomorphs.
Unusual species is actually distinctly related to lizards and snakes.
Okay, we don't know what the origins of Sauropterygians were exactly. I think modern consensus puts them kind of close to turtles, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think you might just be getting it confused with Mosasaurus. Jesus fucking Christ. So, yeah, we don't know exactly where Sauropterygians came from, evolutionarily speaking. I'm pretty sure most modern studies put them closest to turtles. I think, at least. That's very subject to change because the Triassic was weird. And, like, shit was just popping up out of nowhere. You can't definitively say that Nothosaurus came from things like lizards and snakes, because, first of all, snakes would not evolve for about, I don't know, 120, 130 million years. Like, snakes showed up in the fucking Cretaceous period, so it would have had to have evolved from lizards. Fuck, dude, this thing could have evolved from, like, what is it, Rhynchocephalians, like tuataras and shit? You can't definitively say these things, but you're very intent on definitively saying things that are either provably wrong or things you can't possibly prove.
Which means they too could be considered descendants of dinosaurs.
No, they couldn't. Oh my god. There is so much wrong with what you just said there. Because lizards and snakes are on a completely different, way further up branch than the dinosaurs are. That's like all the way back at reptiles. That's so completely different. You're saying that this thing evolved from lizards. Well, lizards are like way the fuck up here in terms of branching off from like base reptiles. So not what that means compared to like archosaurs, who are way the fuck down here. Just, oh my god, you could not be more wrong about this. This is utter insanity.
The Nothosaurus lived sometime in the Triassic period, around 200 and 250 million years ago, and is immediately recognizable by its 4-meter-long, slender body and long, extended features.
I thought he was gonna say it's 4-meter-long teeth. But we already have wild size overestimate with the tungsten fish, so we'll get there.
Unlike many of the dinosaurs that would come later, this was a
Not a dinosaur.
species that felt very comfortable in the water and lived a lifestyle that was probably comparable to what we now see with seals. But what
That is fair enough. There are fossil trackways that do suggest that Nothosaurus was very likely a semi-aquatic reptile, unlike its later Sauropterygian descendants, the plesiosaurs, which were fully aquatic and likely gave birth to live young.
makes this creature particularly intimidating is its way of hunting. While it could just grab and eat fish or other marine mammals that it happened to
Marine mammals? Okay, because you said it was like a seal. That means it is not only a descendant of the dinosaurs, despite apparently existing before them, and also being descended from lizards, and and all that other shit, but it's also a mammal. Sure.
come across, the Nothosaurus was particularly well known for its ability to dig up hidden creatures lurking beneath the seabed.
Okay, so it ate food like a walrus or a beluga whale then. That doesn't strike me as particularly intimidating. I think of a walrus kind of snuffling around on the seafloor for like clams and stuff. God damn it, this guy's another clam. It's another clam that we have here. That's why he's scared of like Sacabambaspis and shit. Because he's like, oh no, I am a poor defenseless clam. I don't want to get eaten by this little jawless filter feeder or whatever shit.
Once those creatures were chomped up by the Nothosaurus, there was no escape.
Yeah, because they're clams. How good are they at escaping?
While this has not been confirmed by any experts, it's highly likely that the Nothosaurus is a distant relative or early ancestor of our modern lizards.
There is a thing that you can definitively say that the Nothosaurus was an ancestor to. Okay, you're saying it evolved from lizards. Now you're saying it's an ancestor to lizards. It's an ancestor to plesiosaurs. For fuck's sake! Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? Oh my god, this is so awful. He's saying so many things about the Notosaurus cladistics, and they're all wrong. It's a Ceratopterygian. It is an early ancestor to plesiosaurs. Just say it's like the fucking Loch Ness Monster or something. I'd be happier if you said that.
I mean, they haven't confirmed it, but we just said it with no evidence. So who are you going to believe? Number 9, Scutosaurus. No two creatures are alike. Some are more slender, some are bulkier, and some are just giant.
I don't even think Scutosaurus is like all that big comparatively speaking. I want to say it's roughly in the ballpark of like Anostrancevia in terms of like length or height or something. For a Permian animal, at least a land-based animal, I want to say this guy was pretty big, but like I don't think Scutosaurus is like enormous or anything. Okay, so like nine-ish feet in length. That's not that big. Again, for the Permian on land, pretty big. But like overall, I want to say this thing's probably about as big as like some modern day crocodiles. Certainly in terms of like weight, that's about a ton. Really not that big.
In the case of the Scutosaurus, it's probably one of the biggest prehistoric creatures we've ever had on our planet. Just
No. 10 feet long and like a ton and change? No. I think it's getting confused because, like, you know, Wikipedia here is saying that, oh, they were among the largest reptiles during the Permian. And so it's like, aha, this must be one of the, and yeah, we got the biggest ever. That's a bingo. Actually, have we had any highly outdated? Most of these aren't even outdated. They're just like wrong. Like they're based off of jack and shit. Oh wait, we had incorrect taxonomy, like a shitload with Nothosaurus. Mammal-like reptile thing. He said that they were like from a group that was like previously known as mammal-like reptiles. I think I'd give him a pass on that one. But then he kept talking about it, so overhyping. We might have that for this guy, just because like saying it evolved into Dunkleosteus. I think we have something for that. Technically, we did have obligate scavenging mentioned. I'm pretty sure for Dickinsonia. Fuck it. I'm going with that one. It was indeed a scavenger. I don't know if we've gotten to the point of thumbnail bait yet. Like, yet. But, we'll see.
in sheer bulk. It's the creature equivalent.
Oh, right, because this is where we were at. Okay, yeah, no, tungsten fish. That is thumbnail bait. You're right about that. 8 inches long, weighs a ton. Okay, so, again, Scutosaurus was really not that big. It wasn't even one of the biggest animals of the Permian, if you're saying like that, like land-based. If you're not specifying land-based, then things like Helicoprion would have been bigger. Helicoprion's, like, big even by modern-day fish standards. It would have easily been way bigger than Scutosaurus. And hell, like we were looking at Anostrancevia earlier, they're pretty similar in size. So, duh.
Of the rock.
Also,
Sheerly one of the
What
biggest
did you
prehistoric creatures we've ever had on our planet. Just in sheer bulk. It's the creature equivalent of the rock.
of the ruck? The ruck? Yeah! The man wants a glass of milk! Give him the milk, Josh! Can you smell what the ruck is cooking? The word is rock. Listen. There are things that, like, I'll mark it off on the bingo board, obviously, because it's part of the bingo board, but it's like, You know what? I'm not gonna blame you too much for not being able to pronounce that, right? It's rock. When you're playing like rock, paper, scissors with your friends, is it like, okay, rock, paper, scissors? Like, they'd stop you before you reach scissors. Like, what the fuck did you just say? What did you just call me?
The Scutosaurus was discovered by experts in 1920s Russia and was named accordingly, with its translated English name being shield lizard. That name is not unearned.
Sorta. I mean, I think it would more accurately be like scoot lizard, right? Because it's named after its scoots. I mean, okay, shield lizard. I guess like scoot just means shield. I can live with that.
The Scutosaurus was a 6-foot-long, 1,000-pound thing with thick bones, bulky muscles, and a...
You can at least call it a reptile. And this is underestimating it. You're underestimating it, but you're still saying that this is one of the biggest things that ever existed. You're insane.
lot of armor plating. All that plating meant that this animal was pretty well defended against potential predators, even if it did make the creature significantly slower. But what's most fascinating about the Scutosaurus is that they were basically prehistoric buffalo, roaming the
What? Ecologically speaking, certainly not in terms of, like, cladistics.
floodplains of Eurasia some 250 million years ago. Just
Isn't that, like, when the Triassic started, or am I crazy?
as cows and buffalo travel in packs today, the
Pack. No, wait. He's saying that cows and buffalo travel in packs. That's herds. I will, however, count pack hunting cows, because that's fucking funny.
The Scutosaurus did back then. The Scutosaurus was a herbivorous creature, but it's definitely a scary one. While humans
Big and dangerous as an herbivore, that's
were
easy.
obviously not around at the time, this animal would likely behave in the same way an elephant or rhino would if it felt confronted by a human. Which is to say, it'd crush you. Number 8, Dimetrodon angelensis.
Very interesting pick for a specific species of Dimetrodon. I'm pretty sure Grandis, if I'm not mistaken, is the largest species of Dimetrodon, but there's also a bunch of Dimetrodon species. I'm pretty sure that there is one called Grandis that is the largest. I think Wikipedia has, yeah, it's got, Angelensis is the biggest. Fascinating. I would have thought it was Grandis just because, like, the name. But I guess Camarasaurus has fucking... It's got, like, Grandis and, hold on, what are the species of Camarasaurus? Yeah, Grandis and Supremus, and then it's just, like, Lentis and Lewisi. I'm not even sure what Lentis means.
These names just get cooler and cooler. Dimetrodon angelensis is the largest known species of Dimetrodon at 4 meters long.
About 12-ish feet. That sounds reasonable. Also, Dimetrodon literally just means, like, 2 measures of teeth. That's not... I like Dimetrodon. I don't think its name is all that impressive, personally speaking. Also, that's a Dilophosaurus. Which, like... Yes, it is also a sail-backed reptile from the same time and place as Dimetrodon, but it's not Dimetrodon. They're completely different. Also, these guys are herbivores.
And a pretty freaky thing to
Still
boot.
a Dilophosaurus.
It's basically what you'd get if you combined a
Still a
lizard with
Dilophosaurus.
a mountain range. While the most notable
A lizard with a mountain range. We have lizards today with sails on their back. We have lizards today that are like this. You understand this, right? You could just say it's kind of like a lizard with a really big sail on its back. Kind of like a basilisk or a sailfin dragon. Actually, when I was at the pet store, when I was getting the new light for the monitor enclosure, I'm pretty sure I did see a Hydrosaurus for sale. Yeah, the sailfin lizard. Look at that. Big old sail on its butt. Ain't that crazy? Big old sail. How wild. There's so many of these. Listen, saying they superficially resemble lizards is one thing. They're not lizards. They're once again synapsids. Much like Gorgonopsids. Got a little mixed up there. I simply got my wires crossed, Columbo. Please show footage of Dimetrodon and not just a Dilophosaurus, please.
Notable feature of the Dimetrodon is that fascinating snail on their back.
Snail? Okay, I understand now why you didn't say it's like a lizard with a sail. Take me to Snurch.
Experts still don't know what that was actually for.
Please.
The most likely theory is that it was used
It's
to
not an
intimidate rivals or
Dilophosaurus.
attract mates, not unlike certain modern birds. But others believe that the snail was designed to
The snail! That wasn't even a one-time thing! It's the snail! What is wrong with you? Why? Do another take!
regulate the body temperature of the creature, which seems kind
Oh
of
my God,
awkward,
it's all a
but I guess
Dilophosaurus.
nobody had invented climate control 250 million or more years ago. What we do know is that the Dimetrodon was one of the earliest meat-eating
There it
predators
is!
on our planet. And
Also, what the fuck did you just say?
that the Dimetrodon was one of the earliest meat-eating predators on our planet.
Oh my fucking god. First of all, meat-eating predators is redundant. Second of all, most things ate meat. You understand that evolving to eat meat is way easier than evolving to eat plants. Especially when, for a huge portion of Earth's history, there weren't any plants to eat. You can't even say this is one of the first, like, land-based predators, right? Because you had all the shit that's going around during the Carboniferous. All the big-ass amphibians there, even some of the bugs like Meganeura would have been carnivorous. There were absolutely carnivorous reptiles back then. They wouldn't have been apex predators. You could say that this is like... No, you can't even say this is one of the earliest apex predators. Because it wasn't. Not even on land. Fuck!
And likely posed a significant threat to just about any creature it came across. Maybe it's just me, but there is something quite frightening about encountering a sinister-looking thing with a big old fan on its back.
Oh, what about a big old snail on its back? How about that?
At that point, I'd probably be jumping off whichever cliff was closest. Number 7, Jacalopterus.
Sure, at least it's a specific genus of Eurypterid and not just the entire clade of Eurypterids.
Some of you out there are really not going to enjoy this entry. With that cryptic introduction out of the way, let's get into some...
With that cryptic introduction and the earlier image of, the giant fucking scorpion, this thing, yeah, kind of a freaking scorpion.
Unsettling large prehistoric creepy crawlies, shall we? This is the largest discovered monster anthropod, a
2.5 God, that should go on the fucking bingo board at this point.
2.5 meter extinct creature known as the Jacalopterus. The Jacalopterus existed 400 million years ago and is an ancient ancestor to our modern sea scorpion.
Okay, there are no modern sea scorpions. It was a type of sea scorpion. Oh my fucking God. This is so awful. Oh my God. I say this every time. We're not even halfway through, and this is one of the worst videos we've ever seen. And even if you're trying to say, oh, this is an ancestor of modern day scorpions, no, it's not. It's not. That's not how it works. I'm tired. Now, okay, in the interest of complete fairness, there are modern day water scorpions, but this is the key thing here. They're not actually scorpions. They're a type of true bug. Something like this is what is commonly referred to as a water scorpion. Look at him. Look at him crawling around. He looks like he's about to say get stick bugged. But yeah, these guys are they're kind of freaky looking. So yeah, they're a type of insect, but like they are called water scorpions just because like, they got the pinchy grabby hands, and they got kind of like the long siphon on their butt, which superficially resembles a stinger. So they give off scorpion vibes. Really, they're almost more like water mantises, even though they're not closely related to mantises either, aside from the fact that they're insects. Like, they're a type of true bug. So really, they're water assassin bugs with raptorial forelimbs, but just call them water scorpions.
But when experts from the university
You cut off before the fucking Jacalopterus I'm pretty sure is it a Jackalopterus in this one? I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched Walking with Monsters. When the giant sea scorpion actually, you cut it off before it came out of the sand and grabbed him.
University of Bristol discovered a whopping 46-centimeter claw from one of these creatures, they began to realize that Uncle Jake
Right, Pterygotus, my bad.
was not exactly a small little relative.
Also, Uncle Jake, fuck off.
He was a big, big boy. In a scientific paper exploring their discovery,
In a scientific paper, he was referred to as a big, big boy.
the University of Bristol colleagues suggest that these giant scorpions were actually an incredible fearsome predator before the age of the dinosaurs.
Man, why even bother saying pointless shit like that, you know? Scientists managed to conclude that this scorpion, all of which are predatory, was a predator before the age of the dinosaurs, considering the fact that we found this in fossil titles, or in fossil areas, fossil deposits, dated to before the age of the dinosaurs. Like, what a meaningless statement. Meaningless, pointless.
And were especially gifted at hunting. While many predators have no patience and just dive on whatever they get, the Jake
What? Many predators have no Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. Have you seen things hunt before? At all? Ever? I happen to own a spider. The spider is very patient. Spiders will sit there for fucking days, weeks, just waiting for shit to come there. Months sometimes. Many predators, even predators who need to eat frequently, like lions and shit, like big cats, they will patiently like stalk their prey and wait for the right moment to strike. If every predator was just like, I'm gonna sprint towards you as fast as I fucking can at top speeds at the slightest given opportunity, guess what? There wouldn't be many of those fucking predators because they'd all lose their catches. Holy shit! God, you're stupid.
Jackalopterus waited and waited and waited. The second a bit of prey moved before it, they'd tear it to shreds and eat the remaining pieces. And that's Uncle
Wow, that sounds so unlike so many predators.
Jake. Often we complain about the presence of animals we don't like. Spiders, snakes, or minor irritations like wasps or Hulk Hogan. But it's worth remembering that we live in a
Well, that one aged poorly. Excuse you, buddy. Oh my goodness. That is not the first professional wrestler that has been disrespected in this video, and I doubt it'll be the last. What the hell, man?
very good time. Hulk Hogan isn't in the spotlight anymore. Number 6.
Well, no, he's fucking dead, jackass. Thanks for the reminder. It's a sad day, brothers.
Titanic Thieves. No, the Titanic Thieves
I am surprised we're going for Titanichthyes instead of Dunkleosteus. Tell me crazy, was Titanichthyes like totally different ecologically from Dunkleosteus? Like, didn't it have a completely different strategy that like wasn't being a massive macro predator, even though it was kind of big? It is assumed that it was a filter feeder that used its capacious mouth to swallow or inhale schools of small anchovy-like fish or possibly krill-like zooplankton. It's a filter feeder. Number 20, the basking shark. Why would, like, not that I don't appreciate, right, more obscure taxa being represented. Not that I don't appreciate that, but on a list of most terrifying creatures, why in the fucking world would you put on a filter feeder? I mean, hey, why the fuck would you put on just like a little sea disc at the bottom of the fucking, at the bottom of the ocean, or a fucking tadpole the size of a thumbnail? Unless, of course, he's a clam.
has absolutely nothing to do with the Titanic. Just thought I'd shut.
Okay, so you know how language works, right? You know how language works, how words mean things. Like, Titanic wasn't just like, we didn't come up with the word for Titanic as like a synonym for really fucking big when we made the ship, right? It was called Titanic because the ship was really fucking big. This is called Titanic. The Greek Titans of myth were... It's fine.
Shut that one down before the inevitable conspiracy theories begin. The
Conspiracy theories. I'm fucking floored. I'm floored by this guy's attempts at humor. Because it's almost something. Right? Because there are Titanic conspiracy theories. That say like, oh god, what the fuck was the Titanic sister ship? Basically, like, there's a conspiracy theory that the Titanic and its sister ship were like, they basically swapped places as like a tax write-off or something, and the Titanic was like intentionally scuttled or something like that. The Olympic, that's the one it was. Thank you very much.
Kronos sank the Titanic to cash out his life insurance claim on Hulk Hogan.
I think that's the first time that sentence has ever been uttered in humanity's history. Without the context of this video, you'd be fucking institutionalized for saying that. Jesus Christ.
Titanic was a long marine creature from the late Devonian period. And it was long. Not joking about that one.
You said that 3 times.
Right underneath me, he's looking for little tidbits.
Dunkleosteus. Also, that was a baby.
The Titanic was an 8-meter-long creature that could mostly be found in shallow waters in Morocco, America, and,
All
according to
Dunkleosteus.
some, Europe. What made this animal so terrifying, you ask? Well, other than its slightly unnerving appearance, this animal is one of the most famous
It's
marine
big.
predators, a filter feeder. The Titanic
One of the most famous marine predators. A filter feeder. Got downsized like the dunk. I fully believe that. Yeah, like I imagine if Dunkleosteus got downsized, and Titanic likely would have gotten the same treatment.
was able to inhale whole schools of fish and chomp them down in one tasty, efficient, and very economical bite.
Yeah, so could a basking shark. I'm not scared of basking sharks.
Now, that's always scary, no matter what animal you're talking about.
Basking shark. Whale shark. Any baleen whale. What the fuck?
Once that vacuum mouth gets going, there's no way to escape it. Thankfully, the Titanic is no longer exploring our planet's shores, so all those little fish are free to roam the oceans safely.
No, they're not, because of all the other filter feeders that still live. There's more filter feeders now than there were when Titanichthes existed. There's an entire clade of them. There's 2 entire clades of them. They're baleen whales and filter feeding sharks. They're not safe. Also, there's humans. Also, do you see how many fish we pull out of the ocean? Oh, but thank God all the little fish are safe now, though.
Until another filter feeder comes along and just completely swoops them all to oblivion. Poor things. Still, at least it wasn't us, right? Number 5, Agarocasis.
Another filter feeder. This guy's a plankton. This guy is a plankton. I am downgrading him from fucking clam to plankton.
It's always exciting when a new creature gets discovered some hundreds of millions of years after it actually existed. It's like going into a time machine or hearing Dr. Seuss spin some nonsense for the first time.
Whatever.
Only real, obviously. The Agarocasis benmule, or Agarocasis for short, is
Just say Adrocassis. I mean, like, say Adrocassis because that's how it's pronounced. But, like, why even say the species epithet if you're just, like, gonna say, oh, the genus for short? Why bother?
a very new discovery, only presented to the public for the first time in 2015. Mohammed Ben Mula was the first to the unusual fossils in Morocco, and
The first to the unusual... First to discover, I assume is what you meant to say. Jesus fucking Christ.
quickly discovered that they showed some kind of giant, extinct sea creature with gills along its back. Unusual
Okay, I'm pretty sure those aren't even its gills. I'm assuming that because this is Adrocassis, those are more than likely the filters that it is using to filter, feed. That's what I'm assuming this was. Because, like, I don't even know how well gills fossilize. Because, like, you know, most gills are internal. Or, like, well, some of them are internal. Some of them are, like, they're kind of just, like, covered by a little flap of skin. Or, like, multiple flaps of skin in the case of sharks. Like, external gills are honestly, a pretty fucking rare trait. You mostly see that in amphibians, if I'm not mistaken, like axolotls and really young tadpoles. Christ.
Actually modified legs, and a filter system for feeding. When he came to explore the fossils in full,
Oh, I think he was saying, like, oh, we thought it was gills, but it turns out it's actually a filter feeding system. But, like, I have no idea what this guy was thinking when he found it.
he found that this find was apparently one of the biggest arthropods that
Arthropods, once again.
ever lived, measuring a whopping 7 feet in length. But this weird animal has also helped fill in some blanks for scientists, who have long wondered about the unusual gaps in the evolution of arthropods. But
What? I don't know what... I don't think this thing is really filling in a gap, because as far as I'm aware, Adrocassis is a radiodont, and radiodonts just kind of died out. Like, I don't think they're really, like... I don't think this thing's existence really fills in any sort of gap. It's just kind of like, hey, radiodonts were here during, like, the Cambrian explosion. They were also here during the Ordovician when Adrocassis was around. That's it, and then they died out. Just kind of little evolutionary dead end.
mostly, it's just a very, very weird creature. And it's far too big. I would argue that any giant creature is too big. But the
I would argue any giant creature is too big. Man.
Agorocassis is definitely too big. While we don't know a whole lot about this mysterious animal, we know that Dr. Seuss definitely did not invent it. It's
You're trying to, like, come back around on a thing you said earlier, but the thing you said earlier didn't make any sense to begin with. So, the callback is not appreciated.
not funny enough to be one of his. Number 4,
You're not funny enough.
Cynognathus. As humans, we have a
Cynognathus. Is this a cynodont? This is another genus I'm not aware of.
lot of weird genetic relatives and ancestors, but I dare say
Okay, it's a cynodont.
that the Cynognathus is one of the strangest. Technically speaking, this is not an animal that is directly related to humans, but mammals as a whole. This is really one of the first
Okay, if you're saying it's not related to humans, but mammals as a whole, then you're kind of saying it's related to humans. Like, if you're saying that this is basically like a stem mammal, or like what would have eventually branched off into mammals, then yes, you are saying that, like, this would have been directly related to humans. Also, yeah, this is the skull of a Scutosaurus, so what the hell are you doing?
first. The Cynognathus were in existence some 250 million years ago, and essentially functioned as some of the earliest mammals in the history of the world.
I don't think these were full-on mammals yet, and if they were full-on mammals, then they would have been contemporary with dinosaurs.
Native to South Africa and South America, these creatures were about the size of modern wolves and lived pretty much the same lifestyle as a modern wolf,
Pack
which is
hunting?
to say they were very active in their hunt for food. They
my
were not
God.
herbivorous creatures by any sense of the word. But despite their predatory nature, the Cynognathus is a relatively small creature, which arguably makes it even better at hunting.
Oh, Christ. That's not what that means. Size has absolutely nothing to do with hunting capabilities. At all. At all. Something that is, like, small is not definitively a better hunter than something that's big, nor the other way around. That sounds like something Jack Horner would say when he's trying to, like, gas up dromaeosaurs over tyrannosaurs.
Thanks to its short tail and tucked limbs, the Cynognathus was capable of rapid and efficient movements that meant very few prey got away. As one of the first mammals to exist on Earth, much of the animal kingdom as we know it came from the Cynognathus.
Aren't those, like, Eriops? Those are amphibians. Also, is he saying most life on Earth?
First
Hold on.
mammals to exist on Earth, much of the animal kingdom as we know it came from the Cynognathus.
Much of the animal kingdom as we know it. No. No. Mammals are a comparatively small blip on the giant diagram that is mostly beetles, to be quite frank. A lot of it's beetles.
which is really incredible as a fact all of its own. But to think such an accomplished creature is related to me as I sit on my couch eating ice cream, I'm kind of ashamed and hungry. Number 3, Arthropleura. Sure,
Okay, so we had like the regular ass tiny millipede, and now we have big boy millipede.
its real name is Arthropleura, but we'll just call him Arthur. Although
Big Jake, Arthur. Everyone's got to have a cool little nickname.
we should say that this isn't one of your cuddlier prehistoric animals. Actually, I imagine most people would be more on the side of kill it with fire than cuddle it. But we'll see how we go on this one. The
Again, I really don't understand people being scared of millipedes.
Arthropleura is the most giant land-dwelling insect of all time.
Not an insect, it's a myriapod.
Which, for most of us, is such a nightmare that there's a whole subgenre of horror movies about it. Them, Arachnophobia, Tarantula, B-Movie, and Deadly Mantis.
Okay, B-movie is almost funny. That was almost a funny, like... You might have gotten me there if the rest of this video wasn't so ass. That wasn't a bad joke. Have you noticed that none of those movies are about giant millipedes, though?
And that's just a handful. Anyway, back to Arthur. Thankfully, the Arthropleura is not as large
Anthropleura.
as some of the
He pronounced it correctly like one time.
creatures in those movies, just due to the simple laws of nature. If an insect did get as big as one of the ants in them, they'd basically be unable to move, which might actually be scarier. Can you
You know what's scary? When something's completely immobile.
imagine a giant insect that just sits there? Thankfully for us, the Arthropleura is a nightmare long gone. Today's arthropods are small and a minor
Arthropods.
inconvenience. Still, we must never forget that there was a period of history that was rife with giant insects.
I mean, like, I guess there's something to be said about, like, when something is just kind of, like, standing there menacingly, staring at you like fucking Slulce Man, good old Slender Man. The thing that, like, would get to me is, like, you kind of have to work to make something that's immobile scary. Whereas you don't have to work all that hard to make something that's, like, chasing after you and going to grab you specifically. You don't have to work all that hard to make that scary. So, I would be more terrified by a giant ant that can move than a giant ant that can't. Because, like, I think if something is, like, standing still, but still, like, observing you, then it's like, that almost implies a degree of intelligence, right? It's like watching you, it's staring at you. Like, that can be creepy. If it's just like a big ant that can't move, I know there's no thoughts going on in that head of his. And it can't move, so it's just like, well, big ant. Take a little picture of it.
I'll stick to the movies, I think. Number 2, Monosicus.
Oh my god. It's a bit of a photo bash, but like that's about what it looks like. Monosicus. I would go with the Steminasuchus. That just rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah, I know. Look, whenever these creatures are discovered, people just kind of pick letters out of a hat and keep going until the name just abruptly comes to an end. It's
I'm pretty sure this means like, is it the crowned crocodile or something like that? What is the Steminasuchus? Yeah, the crowned crocodile. That is a very fitting name. And not all that difficult to pronounce when you're like... It's like you're trying too hard to pronounce it. Also, yeah, what is this?
It's not a
What are these
system I
records?
approve of, but I accept it. Anyway, the Monosicus. Boy, this is going to be a tough one
Yes, it is.
to try and get through. The Monosicus,
A Steminasuchus. It's not that difficult.
or crowned crocodile if you're looking to translate the original gibberish into English,
I remember seeing a tweet somewhat recently that was just like, hey, you know, now that like all the ancient Romans and Greeks are dead and shit, we can probably start like using scientific names that aren't gibberish that no one understands. It's just like, congratulations on completely misunderstanding the entire point of the scientific naming system. We're just not allowed to refer to animals by their scientific names anymore. I go to the zoo and it's just like, oh wow, look at the hippopotamus. And then the etymology police come with me. They just fucking slap me in handcuffs. You're going away for a long time, motherfucker. That's the river horse now. And they drag me away kicking and screaming. No! No, goddamn you, I want to see the okapi! That's animal with long neck, you son of a bitch! And they beat me with their nightsticks. Yeah, China's like the biggest exception to that. Is like, they're just like place name in China-asaurus. Which is like, we often do sort of place name-asaurus or person-asaurus. So, we're not totally guilt-free in that regard. But even when you like go away from the asaurus thing, like Yi Chi is one of the obvious ones there. Where it's just like, come on, man. Now you need to know your native language and also Latin and Ancient Greek and also Chinese. The point of the scientific naming system is to put everyone, no matter the language you speak, on the same page, basically, by using dead languages that aren't going to change over time. That's the point of the scientific naming system. That's why we use Ancient Greek and Latin. That's why.
Was a scary-looking animal that existed over 255 million years ago.
Herbivore, by the way.
This creature looked like a slightly wilder version of a hippopotamus.
It looked like a hippopotamus except for all the shit on its face. Also, that's river horse, you motherfucker. You're going to jail now. You're going to language jail.
Albeit with a very unusual crown atop its head. But in actuality, the animal only looked terrifying. Apparently
The hippopotamus? Yeah, sometimes these scientists, when they name something, they just stick a bunch of letters together and stop whenever they feel like it. That's what you sound like. That's what you fucking sound like.
Creature itself behaved more like a cow, albeit a 13-foot-long, 500-pound cow.
Okay, you know how much a cow weighs, right? You know that cows can weigh like, I want to say a ton or more, right? You're saying like, oh, it's like a cow but smaller. Okay.
This herbivorous animal would really pose no threat to humans or general wildlife whatsoever. But it's definitely not the kind of animal you want to bump into on a dark night. For that reason, we're pretty glad that these creatures aren't around anymore. Or, really, we're just happy that we have modern cows to take their place. They're much less scary, unless you anger them, of course. Number 1, Helicoprion. You're probably thinking this
was a helicopter. Definitely not that, like, the root has like a similar meaning due to the function of both helicopter blades and also this thing's face to like rotate and shit, but what the fuck do I know?
This was a flying creature, right? Not quite. While you're on the right track to equate Helicoprion and helicopter, it's not quite that simple. There's only
It's because it rotates.
one similarity between the creature and the aircraft.
Rotate.
And it's not the flying part.
Rotate!
Actually, the Helicoprion is a pretty freaky marine creature, most known for its unfortunate whorls of elongated teeth, which look incredibly like a buzzsaw, which is reminiscent of... correct, the whirling rotators of a helicopter. But, amusingly enough, paleontologists actually had no idea where this odd little fossil went on the creature for over a century. It wasn't until 1899 when Russian geologist Alexander Petrovich Karpinsky suggested that they could be the teeth of a shark-like fish that the idea even gained traction. According to Karpinsky, the Helicoprion would have worn the swirly tooth on its nose, which is bizarre. The Helicoprion is far too unique to be confined to the shadowy corners of history. And it's definitely not a creature that's easy to forget. But perhaps more importantly, this thing is freaking terrifying. It has a buzzsaw tooth, for crying out loud. What more could you want? Which of these creatures would you...
Thank God it's over. Holy shit. Oh my God. Listen, I'm all for the preservation of lost media, right? I might be glad that he deleted the rest of these. No fucking wonder. Holy shit, that was dreadful. Like, I don't even think we could have said that there were highly outdated facts in this video, because, like, every time he tried to present a fact, it was just wrong. It was wrong and pulled completely out of thin air. And I have no idea where the fuck it came from. Like, the list isn't filled up all that much. Like, compared to that one fucking bird video. That's still our number one. Yeah, Dimetrodon had snails on its back. But, like, pound for fucking pound, I think this has to be one of the worst videos we've ever seen. This was so awful. That was truly awful. There weren't even that many terrifying creatures. Like, Helicopteran I'll give you. Jacalopterus, I guess. Dimetrodon would be kind of scary. I wouldn't exactly get into the water with a Nothosaurus. And then it's like Gorgonopsids. Dear God. What if